Welcome back to another amazing episode of the FitBiz Journey podcast. Today we are here in New York City, West Village, with an amazing guest, Dan Churchill, who is a healthy chef.
Hey guys, as you can see, I'm obviously not from America. I'm Australian, so that's the first thing. But I've been here for 3.5 years, and I'm now working with some phenomenal brands, got my own restaurant. I'm the chef in relation to Under Armour, the fitness brand, and athletic wear apparel. And just having an awesome time here, really growing my own personal message of colourful cooking. So yeah, fun times.
Dan, first of all, guys, I don't know if you guys understand that who Dan Churchill is and what he have done so far. He is also only 30 years old. Well, going to be pretty soon. 6 more months to go.
Correct.
But he have accomplished so much coming from a different country, coming here, and able to accomplish what he have accomplished so far. So I'm so excited to have him here on the show because, first of all, you're everywhere. I think I just wanted to start out that what I told you off the camera. But I was coming here to New York. We have just talked and basically booked. Oh, and I wanted to mention one thing that to get in touch with Dan was extremely easy. His team is amazing. I just want to point out that the communication and everything was so easy and so easy to set up. So guys, if you need some help, you might want to reach out to you and your team because
Thanks.
That was amazing.
Yeah, Maddie, shout out to Maddie. She's fantastic at her job. She's awesome.
Definitely. So on the way here, when I got off the airplane basically, and I was waiting, I pulled out my phone. I put on a video on YouTube that I was about to watch, and then basically an ad popped up, right? And it was an app, and it was Chris Hemsworth about it's eating, working out, and everything, right? So it popped up, basically, you know, Thor from Avengers, but pops up, and I was like, oh, I guess now he has an app. So I was about to hit skip, and then all of a sudden, Dan pops up. And I was like, oh, wait a second, it's Dan. So I watched the whole ad video, and it's just kind of funny. I pointed out to him that because of you, I watched the whole video, and because of Chris, I was about to hit the, skip.
Yeah, so I'll be making sure that he knows that, because all the Thor fans out there, there's one Dan Churchill, the healthy chef fan. So thanks, Dan. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, we have to stick together.
Yeah, cheers, man, for sure.
Anyways, so guys, he's amazing, and then your restaurant is actually not too far from here, right?
Yeah, so Charlie Street's down in Nolita, so we're currently in West Village of technically Manhattan, but it was a 10-minute bike ride to catch up today, so really simple. I was finishing filming and then came straight here, which is awesome.
Awesome. So we'll talk about that too, by the way. So you just finished filming, and you're going to, is there any more today?
I'll go back today and finish off some recipes, yes. So I've got actually a studio kitchen in the basement of my restaurant, which allows me to do my podcasts and also my own video recipes. So on my social channels, it allows me, I was at a point, and this is probably cutting a bit far forward, but I was at a point where I was getting a lot of brands asking me to do content. And so we all know that content is quite important these days, and with healthy recipe ideas, I just essentially needed a team. So now I have my production team, and now I have the studio kitchen. So on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, you can just simply go on and see a plethora of content ideas, and even just healthy tips, so things like that.
We'll definitely touch base on that because content is everything, and you seems like you are the king of it, especially in your category.
Thanks, mate.
And if you type in his name, everything pops up like all over. But anyways, let's get back to it. So because I don't want the people to get distant from you, because it's almost like you're getting untouchable for some of our audience.
Thanks, mate.
So let's go from back all the way to the back. So how did you even get started, and why or how? Let's go with why. Why did you want to come to the States?
Yeah, look, I think let's start with my initial vision. So I finished high school and loved sport. Like you're a former semi-professional athlete. You can relate. I loved playing rugby and all those kind of things. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, but I knew I wanted to pursue something in sports. So I did my undergraduate degree in exercise science. And following that, I knew that I wanted to be more specific in sport, so I did a master's in exercise science and strength and conditioning. So before I was a professional chef, I actually was training athletes. I had my own health coaching business. I was technically a PT as well, so I had my own team of trainers, and I was doing that whole thing. So I relate to the world, and a lot of the people listening right now, like I've been you, and it was a fantastic part of my life. But when I was growing up at the age of 12, I was always cooking since that age with my family. And when I was working with some of these athletes later on in life, I realized that there was a disconnect between understanding how to apply the nutrition I was constantly talking about. You know, they were trying to improve their power output by an extra 3 or 4% to increase their, ground force reaction speed and these kind of things. But as much as I would tell them what to eat, they didn't know how to do it. So then I started creating these recipes for them, and using my kind of like, I guess, basic relatable nature of cooking, because I was never professionally taught, I was able to connect with them. I use sport as kind of like the end of doing so, and then use food as now, I guess, a communicatable tool. And it turned out to be great. And then on one side I had the sport athletes down pat, and my friends were also seeing the fact that I was cooking, and their girlfriends saw that I was cooking, and then so I was making my mates look bad because I was teaching their girlfriends how to cook, which is not always a good thing. So then I gave them recipes, and so I realized that as much as I was having an impact in the health and fitness world, specifically by being a health coach, I saw the opportunity to change the world through food much more impacting. And so I decided to pursue a career in I guess being a chef or a self-taught chef. And that started off by releasing self-published cookbooks that did well enough to get me on Australian TV. And
how many?
So I've done 3 now. I've self-published 2. Sorry, there's 4. So I've self-published 2, done 3 in total, and I'm doing my 4th one later this year.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks, mate. I'm going to try and keep ahead of you. How many have you got?
I only have 1, and my second one coming out actually this May.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. It's your wife's obviously just, am I allowed to say?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
yes.
so she's obviously just got a book literally today. So holding that book is having a phenomenal, tangible experience for everyone. So when I released those books and saw these relations with Instagram and social media and people reaching out going, Dan, I'm really inspired by your book. It felt amazing.
Yes.
So from that, I essentially was getting a lot of attention nationally in Australia, and then I was also then reached out to from America to do a book tour, and so that led me to coming over here. But this is where things get interesting, because it wasn't as if everything was on a plate. You came from Hungary,
yes,
and you had to build, I'm sure, yourself from scratch. You didn't have much help per se. So building a brand in America is much different to building a brand from scratch in Australia. It's a different culture. You're away from your friends and family. So I was learning to be very, very resilient and to understand my brand and how it could relate to Americans and not my own, Australian community.
Exactly. And hold on, before you get into it, I just wanted to ask you one question right in there, because I think it's a very interesting spot. So you said at this point you have published 2 books, right?
Correct.
And then you were getting on the media in Australia.
Sure.
And these were recipe books, or?
Recipe cookbooks, yes, correct.
And then did you have anything else at that point? You were already heavy on the content, or not yet?
I was pushing out a lot of blog content.
Okay.
I didn't have I had a few videos going, but not consistently. But obviously, I was at a very primitive age where I couldn't afford to be paying someone full time to be all that kind of thing. But I was putting out more than your average person would be, but not to the level now where I'm putting out, very fortunately, quite a number of videos every week.
What year was this, or how old were you? Do you remember?
I was 20, I think I was 23 when this 22 years old.
So definitely you got on the radar of lots of people and said, oh, look at this young kid, 2 books already and everything. Yeah. So how what I was heading to, so how did the book tour came up? Were you looking for it, or they just literally looked out for you for America?
Well, it's funny. I've always been interested in America. I've always watched the movies, and I love the college kind of scene, like American Pies and Van Wilders and the sport and American football. So I've always been interested.
Is it a thing? Because in my country, that was the same. What you just mentioned, all those movies and all those things, was in my country.
100%. I got varsity jackets for my Charlie Street founders because I wanted a varsity jacket. Because I've always seen on all college movies, you see them wearing varsity jackets and their jocks, and I'm like, I just want to be one of them. So I pretty much, you'll see on our Instagram, on my Instagram as well, this green jacket we have, and I've got 4 of them specially made just purely because we love that culture.
Sorry, continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was always interested, and I just so happened that we had a relation. I had a friend who knew someone in America who knew a publisher, and the publisher reached out mutually. And so they were just like, okay, Dan, we'd be interested to talk. And it was just like, okay, they didn't pay for a flight. I just kind of booked a flight over to America, and it's like, oh, this is cool. Beachy, surfy head, young whippet, and walking around the city, cold, never really experienced anything like that, thinking I would have enough coats to look after myself. And yeah, it was a phenomenal 5 days, and I flew home and then found out that they want me to sign a book deal and go on a book tour. So like
That's awesome.
yeah, it was a really, I didn't realize how big a deal that was because it just happened. I guess I was slightly naive. To get a book deal in America is very tough.
Yes.
But what was even harder was to get the right visa to come back over, and that took a lot of work. So yeah, it was a very interesting time where I'd be going back and forth with Australia and America, and eventually until I got the right visa and the right support from maybe a cooking show or some TV deals that allowed me to look like I was actually here for a long time.
Yeah. So what happened after that? So now you're in America, right? On a book tour.
Yeah, so I landed. I'm on a book tour. On the back of the book tour, I got enough TV exposure to give me the right credentials to get my O1 visa, which allowed me to come back and move here. So, but once I did my book tour, I didn't actually have anything after that. So I did my book tour, I got my visa, and I landed in America. And so what then I realized is like, okay, what's my point of difference? I'm young. People aren't necessarily going to take me seriously. So I'm in this for the long run. So I kind of looked at my brand and what I stood for. And I looked at the key core values and how every piece of content that I'm going to do for the next 10 to 15 years is going to be around those pieces of content. And so I really knuckled down. I shoot myself, I would edit everything, I would change things up, I essentially work on different small little brand deals that were still true to who I was. I do shows that may not pay much but gave me great exposure, and it got me to build up to a point where I started to become top of mind in the healthy food space. And then over time I was very consistent. I'd write more recipes, I'd go on blogs, I would find myself, as you said, I'd see myself pop up in places and I'm like, oh wow. And then one day I got an email from Under Armour. And they essentially said, we're looking for a chef, and your name keeps popping up in Google for every single time I put in healthy chef. So my biggest tip to people at this point in their life when they're creating a brand is be consistent with your brand, because everything that you do consistently over time will stand for who you are. Don't deviate off your path because you see an opportunity that's going to help you for 3 years. I'm telling you right now, this is something I've been doing for a very long time, even though I'm young. And it's paying dividends now by being top of mind in the industry that I wanted to be. So I did, and then I signed a contract with Under Armour. And then within the space of, that period, I was signing a few deals that were really true to my heart. Athletic Greens is another phenomenal company that I'm an ambassador for. I'm proud to be, and it's led to more TV exposure. Charlie Street, launching my restaurant there, and then the next stage, like Charlie Street's is a phase. There's a lot of different stages to go through for that, much like building 6 of your own fitness boutique studios. But we launched that for 6.5 months, and then the next stage was to launch my studio kitchen, which was to make sure that I could have regulated content every single day. I can have guests in whenever I wanted, and I can do a podcast as well. And then Food Network were really happy about that kind of thing. And essentially what's happened is I'm continuing to build my brand. It's top of mind when it comes to healthy cooking, everything related to it, whether it be gluten-free, keto, paleo, it doesn't matter. My mission is to change the world through food, providing a means of sustainable living. And so it's not to say that there's one direct way that fits all. I am here to provide a resource for all of you to show that no matter what, you just know what works for you. So if you're keto, great, let's work out a way that we can provide recipes that's good for keto. Have you ever listened to your body about being gluten-free? All those kind of things. And fortunately, I've just continued reading and knowledgeable about this industry. It's been phenomenal.
That's amazing. And guys, if you are listening, you know that the perfect recipe, what actually allowed you to cook up what you're doing currently right now. But what you said, I didn't want to interrupt you because you were on a roll. But
sorry, mate.
No, it was
very
all good.
Passionate about this area.
No, this was amazing because if anybody who listened or watching or wherever you guys are tuning in, this was literally like the step-by-step guide, as in just giving away that you upfront know where you want to be in the future, and then you break it down, create a content only to maybe even I usually say, ask the question that, is this going to get me closer or further away to my goal? And then just basically determine which content of what you're doing. But let's go back to the people, because now they know they need to find out who they want to be, where they want to go in the future. and then start building it up and start building up that content. You did blogs, you're doing now podcast, you're doing lots of videos, recipes. So what would you tell people? What should they focus on first, and then what should they add in separately?
Yeah, sure. I will say it is hard knowing what you want to be. It's a tough one. I'm very fortunate to have known that I want to be the healthy chef, and that I want to change the world through food. That's a blessing to know that at such a young age. So I had a head start knowing that that's the case. But it doesn't mean that, there's never, that's probably a hurdle. And once you find that, knowing how to get to Z, knowing what Z is, you just need to find A to Y. And so the first step is to kind of look within yourself and see what's attainable for you. If you don't know how to shoot videos, then maybe it's a case of you starting out doing written content. So an ebook. Ebooks are simple. It's something that anyone can do. And it's a great way to opt in people for your website, get a whole new type of audience that you can relate to consistently. Really integrates well with Facebook and social media, so you're kind of cross-pollinating couple of different audiences there. And so that's kind of where I would always start, generally speaking. From there, I do think video is a great way to continue your growth, and podcasts are blowing up because you can do them anyway. You can hang out with people as you're doing them. They're easy to kind of put together. And so it's kind of a case of getting a foundation for using a camera and editing skills, to then realizing how much time you have in a week. Because obviously starting out, you're going to have a job, and you got to look after yourself, got to pay the bills. But the biggest thing to me is people don't, set aside time for them. You work your time, and you have your own distractions. You have someone could be a single mom, they could be, a single individual in general and have more time, but they're so, they've got so many things going on, they don't put aside time for, new opportunities. The essential thing is we all have our own distractions. Mm-hmm. So once you realize what you want to do, and you think about content as your next step, plan out X amount of time in a week for this to happen. It could be 1 hour a day, it could be 20 minutes. But you're looking towards a smaller goal to maybe do 5 written pieces of content in 4 weeks. And then over time, you'll build from written content to video content, to then finding ways to distribute your content. Because if your content's your king, your distribution's your queen. There's no point having content that doesn't go anywhere. So then you have to look at ways that package it up into, more easily attainable things for editorials as whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And you actually mastered that, it sounds like, because it's everywhere. And then it popped up to me, after we talked, it pops up to Under Armour. Yeah, good point. So you created all this content, you became the healthy chef, and then all of a sudden, Under Armour started reaching out to you, so obviously you did something correct. And then they even mentioned it that anytime we were looking for a healthy chef or a chef, your name pops up, so let's talk. How crazy is that, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't accident. So I didn't tell you, but I just want to point out to everybody that was not an accident. That was you continuously working on the same thing over and over, and it happened.
Yeah, look, using Google Words and SEO, it's a very simple thing. It sounds intense, but having 10 keywords you constantly put in all your pieces of content on your blogs, and whether you're building a fitness studio and you're looking for the best way to gain traction for an audience, think of maybe the start. Who are your audience? Who are they? What's the demographic? What are they interested in? And that's a great way to start creating content around who they are. Because once you know who your audience is, you just have to learn how to bait them in a real way. You wouldn't go looking for marlin in a swamp. You go out to the very ends of a ocean and look for them and use the right bait to hook them. So yeah, it's all these things are really kind of easy to understand and apply, just finding out about them, which is exactly why we're here today.
Exactly, that's 100% right.
Yeah.
So right now you have a brick and mortar business as well. So how is that, which one, well obviously you wanted to get into that, but the question is, because there are so many fitness professionals too who struggle to decide if they should have an actual location or if they should go more on the digital side and do everything from home or work, online basically. So which one do you aim more towards to? You do like actual restaurant business, or you think you like more working virtually?
Oh, I think, well, firstly, there's different audiences, and I want to help every audience I can. I think it's also about the time of year. So right now, Charlie Street's very new, and so I'm there cradling this baby, looking at ways that we can help continue to grow what we're doing. But I don't look at one, I actually look at them as being just as beneficial to each other. Because when people hear that I have a restaurant, they're naturally going to go to it, which adds credibility for my brand, right? It may be short-sighted, a bigger impact on cost of goods, but as a brand, and this is where things have to be really important to think about, the cost on the beneficial, output on your brand is where, it's a win. It may, cost a lot more money up front to say do that than purchase a camera and start shooting things. But long term, if, people want to start seeing the 4, 5, 6, 10 restaurants that I have, it makes more sense to be top of mind in that industry. So I'm definitely focusing my time a lot on Charlie Street, but that's the reason why I put a studio kitchen in the basement of the restaurant, because it allows me to work between the two of them very easily.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And what you have mentioned, that people, especially today, people don't realize that how important what you just said, that if you have a business, you also have to be the king of that business online in your own zone and everything, because that's how people are going to find you organically.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you can always run ads for the people who went to the website, so they keep seeing you continuously.
Exactly.
But most people don't know that, and they just want to go one or the other, that's why they don't work. Because you have to have both.
Sure,
yeah.
Exactly.
I'm very happy, by the way, where you're going, and just for the audience, just wanted to share that. We'll video that too, but we'll go to your restaurant as well this week.
Oh, unreal.
Probably multiple times. But we definitely want to go. It's already on my agenda, so we're going to be there. And then I just wanted to share that, and then we're probably going to maybe cut it into this podcast just so people can see it too.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's a B-roll.
A bit of B-roll. We love some
Yep.
B-roll. See the colourful plates of Charlie Street. That'll be
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, on Instagram I've been following it, and it's amazing what you guys are doing in there. It's really, really cool.
Thank you, man.
And it looks pretty. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll have to get you on the Charlie Street pour. So we're now doing this thing where our head barista, Aaron, he gives you an espresso shot, and he froths up some milk for you. And essentially, you have one shot to make an amazing love heart, and it's really cool. It's a great challenge because everyone gets competitive. We had do you know the actress Naomi Watts?
Nina knows. I don't know.
Your lovely wife does, of course.
Yes.
So we had her in yesterday, and she's very competitive, and so it was a very fun experience. It was on my Instagram yesterday. On my story, so she's.
I will check it.
Yeah, she's funny. She's super funny.
And I love espresso, by the way.
Fantastic.
What I did not like, and I hope that's not what you have, but either way I will love it if you do, but it's just me. I did not like the espresso in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So they have I'm not sure, what they had, some sort of they said it's famous in Brooklyn espresso or something like that.
Okay.
But I did not
what
like
kind
it.
of espresso do you like? Do you like a more chocolatey? Do you like a more fruity kind of espresso?
The one that is the strongest, the better, but it's, so not the fruity.
Yeah, chocolatey.
Yes.
So our humbler espresso. Now, just FYI, guys, being an Australian, we are coffee snobs. We're proud of being coffee snobs. It's part of our culture.
Cannot wait to try it.
Yeah. So our humbler, our coffee for our espresso shots is a chocolatey kind of experience.
Yes.
So it's a mixed blend between Ecuador and also Honduras.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a beautiful acidic note that rounds out and feels like you're having a nice bit of cacao here. It's awesome.
I think we have to go there today. Well, okay, then so this is, by the way, amazing, and then for guys who are still not on basically the content game, this should be the walking proof that you really need to be on it. And I say this all the time, and it really makes a huge difference. And just wanted to give out a little hint that our ad cost for each studio is actually lowering by the minute when we post more content and people engaging more on our Facebook and Instagram. And when we post less, then our ad costs go up and up and up. So it's also very important and plays into your ads, because some people say, oh, I'm just going to do ads, I don't have time for content.
Sure.
But they go hand in hand.
100%. They really do. And then you can track, as you said, you can track who they are. And, you can even get to a point now with Facebook where you can determine where people are falling off your ads. If it's early on, you can find a different method of getting back to them, where if they're falling off just by the finish, you can just send them straight to your page, because if they've watched the whole ad, they're almost interested. So yeah, there's all different measurements you can use and these kind of things. But first thing is to get your content out there after understanding your brand, and then continue to shape your brand around your core messages that will allow you to be top of mind in your industry, and then growing it from there.
I have a question for you, but I already know the answer for it.
Okay.
Do you love what you do?
I'm very blessed to say I love what I do, mate. Yeah, it's awesome. I wake up every day getting, a solid amount of response on Instagram about a recipe I posted, or a workout I did, or some way that my energy and positivity in life is creating a fantastic impression on families. And that to me is absolute solidification that I'm doing what I love. Like I'm so happy. I work 7 days at the moment because I love to work at the cafe on Saturdays and Sundays, just to be there and see the people come by. And then during the week, I'm, doing my content and also working on strategic partnerships. But eventually that's going to, wean off as it continues to walk on its own 2 feet. But, my girlfriend even says, like, you obviously just love what you do so much. And, yeah, of course.
How would you, because there's basically two different, well, I guess more than 2 different people, but in the fitness industry, what I see is there are people who love being trainers and they love working with clients, for example. And then there are people who don't like that, but they have to do it just because they are the stepping stone of able to hire more people and able to basically work on their business, as in like run the business, right? And eventually open up more studios.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm asking is because in your case, where do you see yourself? Because you already love what you do, so obviously what you're doing right now is probably where you want to be, but what do you see in the future? Do you see yourself as still what you're doing, just obviously on a bigger scale, or are you seeing yourself as eventually having multiple restaurants and going around, and where do you see yourself, let's say, in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, it's a really good point you brought up, because within a business you've got different people. You've got the operator, you've got the creative, you've got the investor, and you may have an owner. And so within those realms, you may be technically all 4 of them. So I'm all 4 of them to say Charlie Street, right? But going forward, I love being the CEO of the company. I love being able to have control over a lot of things. But I also know where my strengths lie. My strengths is in the creativity, the relationships I'm able to create. The day-to-day operations of a business is something that, as much as I love, they're not where my strengths are, or the best use of my strengths. So I know as the business continues to grow, we go to more stores and create that opportunity. I know I'm going to be more on still the creative side, the CEO creative side, and less to the day-to-day things, which is something that excites me. Thinking about like menu creations from a high level, thinking about how we can integrate tech into what we're doing, and really understand our customer much more in depth to apply ways of them, finding our content. And that's another thing, is pushing our content even in the restaurant game to another level. And the same thing for the Epic Table, which is my production company and how I shoot everything. I'm always going to be the front-facing person of that business. And as that continues to grow as well, and we do things more online with meal plans. I'm now doing meal plans quite consistently, and I'm finding that a lot of fun. It reminds me back to the days when I was doing it as a trainer. I love the health and fitness world, so I'm able to do both. But I think once you realize what your strengths are and you identify what you love, you will know that as the business grows, where the best case for you is. So I know that, as I said, the 4 things: you've got the owner, the creative, the investor. Owner, creative, investor. What was the 4th one? Operator. Apologies. Yeah, I know I'm not the operator. Definitely the creative. I'm definitely an owner, and so I see myself in those 2, going back and forward. And I think that's what's really important to realize.
That's amazing, and most people just want to do it all, which
yes.
they cannot, especially as they grow. As soon as I realized that too, that I cannot do it, and the same way you just mentioned, I took myself out of those spots. I did not want to do the day-to-day operations. So the first thing was to hire somebody who loved doing that and then take over, because I don't have the strength in that, but they do live and breathe that. So for them the Excel sheets to looking at the stats, to looking at the people, talking to the people, make sure you're doing it right, and all these things is like music to their ears. And to me it's like, again.
Yeah,
yeah.
It drains you as well. It really does. And you don't want that weighing you down. You want to be making decisions, whether it be working with a client one-on-one or working from a more of a CEO role. You want to making sure your time is best spent towards something you love and are better at.
Yeah, so good to hear that. And guys, I hope you paid attention. Now then, where can they find you right now? On Instagram, website, you name it.
Yeah, so my Instagram's Dan Churchill. You can hit me up on that, obviously. You'll see that on my website at danchurchill.com. There's a number of ways you can reach out to me, whether it be my ebooks or my meal plans. You'll see Maddie is there also to be responded to. And yeah, obviously you can see me on Facebook, YouTube, and across all socials with the video content that I'm doing. So, and stay up to date with the podcast as well.
Any last giveaway for the audience or listeners that you would want them to do, or any help, or any just basically advice that you would want to give them before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I just think doing what you love is definitely a fortunate thing that we should be taking into account. But Just summating what I said, once you know what you want to do, you just got to work out the steps to get there. Being consistent with your brand is super essential, and I'm showing that today by being the fact that my SEO, by being consistent with my content, led me to some opportunities. And it's once you realize the power of saying no within your business, it's a phenomenal thing. So telling a brand or a company or a potential partnership no, it just shows you truly value yourself and your brand for the audience that you want it to be, higher than anything else. And I think that's really important. And the other thing that I think we don't talk about enough is allowing time for you. And that's like, you're so much in your business as an entrepreneur, you're so much in your business. You get up, you live and breathe. You get up straight away, look at emails, all that kind of stuff. It's all important to have time for you, to allow your mind to relax so that you can be more optimized, to make the decisions, to think of the creative strategies, and to work in your business more optimally. So that's definitely what I'll say.
Drop the mic. Great job.
Thanks, mate. Yeah.
Dan, thank you very much for being here.
Of course.
This is amazing. I would love to have you eventually again. We'll definitely go to your restaurant and we check out all your cookbooks. We're gonna link in everything. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Hope this was a very useful episode. It was for me. And thank you so much for watching, listening, wherever you are, or even reading. You remember that you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, IGTV, YouTube, everywhere. And make sure that you do watch this episode, just because you can see Dan in the video and Lizzie on the couch. But thank you so much for watching this episode. Please share, please rate, and see you next time.